There we go. Did
Oh,
I
it
join
is.
the link? Apologies if I did join the wrong link. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We're very excited to hear about Sony. So do you want to start by telling us who you are, what you do, and tell us about Sony Music, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Charlotte. I work in the talent acquisition team at Sony Music. I've been here for about 5 years now, 5.5 years, and it's gone so quick. I joined as a talent acquisition coordinator, and yeah, have never looked back. It's been brilliant. I studied music production back in at university, so that was at a university called BIM, where they do all kinds of music courses. So yeah, doing production for a while, and then I went into recruitment, which is why I am here now at Sony. So a really great journey, bit of a zigzag, and yeah, love working at Sony and I guess building teams, working with different people all the time, learning about the industry every day. Sony is a major record label. I know you've just spoken or heard from Jane. So Sony is another major in the industry who sign and develop artists globally and support them, growing their audiences in lots of different ways, more ways than you can imagine. So I guess I'm here to talk to you about what those different ways are and kind of how the jobs fit into that.
Yeah, absolutely. But first, before we get into that, I want to
Yeah.
know about you and your background because that's an interesting, like you say, zigzag. And it
Mhm.
is very important for the young people watching to know that, you might have a clear mapped out path in front of you, but it might not work out like that. So
No,
you obviously wanted to go be a music producer, is that right then?
correct. Yes, I wanted to be the next Quincy Jones. Of course, who doesn't want to be? But life had other plans, and that's okay. And I have honestly learned so much from every bit of experience, and that is something that I hold dear to me. Is I came from university, I worked in music for a little bit of time, doing some engineering work, which was great fun, and I loved it. But I didn't really have a lot of access to understanding how to navigate a freelance world. So if I'd had a bit more support or knowledge on that at the time, I could still be doing that now. But I thought I needed to get a proper job because that's what everyone does. So I went into recruitment to try and kind of build my skill set in working with people, yeah, managing like just the office environment and building my skills there. Because I think deep down I really knew I wanted to work in a record label. I just didn't know what, like how, because there are so many different jobs. And I studied production, and to work on the business side, it wouldn't necessarily kind of match there. So I was a little bit lost for some time working in recruitment that I didn't necessarily um resonate with because it wasn't creative, and then decided to, do you know what? I'm going to go and do an internship while I still can. And I went and did a 3-month internship at a an indie label called Hospital Records, which kind of gave me a bit of a picture of like, oh, okay, that's a promotions department. That's what a digital person is. And started to piece everything together. And it obviously that was a very short time, a very start of my learning of what a label looks like. But then I wonderfully came across the job at Sony, which combined my experience in recruitment and my passion for music. So it really was, yeah, a fantastic right place, right time. But I didn't even know that all of the things that I was doing was for a reason, and it would make, it would all come together. I think at the time I felt very lost. I thought I was going in the wrong direction, but it definitely wasn't the case. And that's what I always say to people coming into the music industry is like take everything you can from any bit of experience, whether that's working in a call center, working in a pub. I did that for many years at uni and before then, and that taught me so much as well. So all of that is why I'm here doing my job now. So yeah, I
I
think
love
it's been a
that.
zigzag, but
No,
a
but
fun
that's
one.
exactly, I think, the information that is so important because a passion is a passion, right? You might not end up Because when you are younger, you do have a very limited understanding of what is available in terms of careers. Like it is only, like you said, when you went and did that internship, that you were like, wait, hang on, there's a lot more going on here and there's a lot more that I could do. And that's when you kind of began, I suppose, to realize, wow, I could work in the music industry, but not being a producer necessarily. Do you know,
Yeah.
just do something else? That is a very important lesson to learn. And that is what the power of this week is all about, being able to give people that information without necessarily having to go through that whole process themselves.
Yeah.
So sorry, you were like the guinea
I
pig
was
for
the guinea pig. I'll take it.
that. So tell us then about Sony Music. How does it operate? What are the different departments? Tell us a bit about how the whole machine works.
So, to try and fit it into a few minutes, I always like to picture major labels, Sony Music, like an umbrella. So, Sony is the umbrella, and under that umbrella comes the different teams within the business, and they can be specific labels that make up, you know, like Columbia, RCA, Ministry of Sound, those kind of names you may have heard of. And within those labels, there are teams. But outside of those labels, there are also central teams that kind of service all of the labels, and then also corporate jobs that support the whole business. So there's this huge spider web of different teams that make all of the different cogs turn. And all of that work is driven towards supporting artists and creators reach a global audience, and grow their fan bases. So it's such a creative environment. Even in my job, like I feel like I'm a creative person, even though I'm in the recruitment team. You have to think creatively, you work with creative people, and that goes to show like all of those different careers that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the music industry. You have an influence, like you have an influence on the industry in some way. And I think that's what keeps me going in my role, is that you wouldn't necessarily think that someone that studied production and wanted to do something creative going into recruitment would be satisfied. But I am, and people are, because they are influencing the music in some way.
Absolutely. And I think in everything is really about the brand when it comes to a creative company, like any creative company. And so the recruitment department has to be as creative as the brand is creative. So even in the tools that you use, for example, Eric, like
Yeah.
you guys are kind of setting the standard for every other industry because you are able to be more innovative and more creative with even the things, I guess, the service providers that you use that reflect the brand. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. We're always trying to think about new ways that we can creatively recruit, and that might be for our early careers programs, but even right up to our senior level roles. How are we going to reach the right people? And that is a creative process.
Absolutely. So going back to the variety of different things that you can do, what
Mhm.
do you think is the most underrated job in the whole of Sony Music? What have you seen the way you're like, oh my God, I wish more people knew that that existed. It's so cool.
Obviously, talent acquisition.
Yes. Yes, I love it.
It is definitely an underrated area, but we're quite a small team. But what I think about this question is, I know I say this term a lot, is like all the hidden careers that you don't see, like the kind of the back office operations, release planning, digital operations, all the people that like make everything happen. There's people there to kind of, that are the glue to a release. Things like A&R admin, making studio sessions happen, making invoices, for certain things go through, and keeping everything moving so the creators can do their best. So there's lots to kind of unpack there. There's loads of different jobs, especially kind of more admin focused, that I think are underrated. But I also wanted to say our catalog team is, I think, something that is, a huge part of our business, and it is the backbone of Sony Music, because the revenue that they bring in is enormous. And what catalog means is something that has, or a piece of music that has been released for, I think it's over 18 months. So Anything in that 18-month bracket is called frontline. And then anything after that, it goes into the catalogue. And the catalogue department have to make the most out of that music. So, how do we continue generating money out of that music, out of the catalogue? So, that I think people look at catalogue and think, oh, it must be all, the old music that I've never listened to. It's absolutely not. It's 18 months or older. But also it's so amazing being able to work on the legends, like, that come with Sony Music. There's so many. Um, and you get to then think about, okay, what can we do here with this special moment or cultural moment to push this artist and push this release. So the possibilities for creativity are huge, and I think sometimes it's an unsung part of the business that needs to be recognised more.
Oh, I completely agree. I didn't know that existed. And that's actually really cool. I can totally see now, I can picture like campaigns where I'm like, I remember, I'd be like, oh, that's the 20-year anniversary. Oh, that's cool. They're doing so. I assume that's the catalogue team coming up with that kind of PR exercise idea. Love that. Oh, great answer to that. Um, Okay, and in the final 4 minutes that we have, I've got two questions for you. One, do you have any programs, schemes, initiatives, stuff coming up this year? And then two, what is your advice for young people who want to get into the music industry?
Absolutely. So we have our internship programs. So we have two programs. One is the wider internship program, which comes under lots of different areas of the business. That might be marketing, digital, promotions, uh, creative in general, graphic design, production. You can check out all of those roles when they go live, and that is in August time. So check out our website. And all of you'll be able to see all the job descriptions, what you have to do. Even if you're not ready to apply this year, have a look anyway. Have a look at see what the job entails to kind of prep yourself for when you're ready to go for it. We also have the A&R Academy, which is slightly different, a smaller program, and that runs from March to March. And applications for that open in November time. That is a more specific program that is relevant to A&R, which are the people that sign the artists and develop the artists. So a super fun role where you get to scout for new music. But yeah, it's a very popular program.
I can
There are
imagine.
lots of ways that you can prepare for those programs now. And I think one thing is research, looking at the different music publications, understanding what's going on in the industry can really set you apart when you are interviewing, when you have knowledge to share and you have opinions on things. But then also if you're coming out of school and you think, how on earth am I going to get some experience when it's a really, I guess it's a competitive industry to get into, of course. But I think do something where you're not waiting for anyone to give you an opportunity. Start something yourself. Think about what you enjoy and what you're good at, and try to understand how that fits into the music industry. So, if you love content creation or social media and love a specific genre of music, have a look about like what content is going on in that genre and how can you pull influence on that and create some content that's like it. Or you could start making playlists or taking part in community radio, or sharing content online in like video form or blog format to share like what your thoughts are on new releases. That's all experience. So these are the things that you can start doing already to prepare yourself for when you have to give your CV to someone, and you think, well, I've not been employed with anyone, but actually I have all this stuff that I've done myself, and that's what we love.
I mean, I love that. Everyone loves that. You're not waiting for people to give you opportunities, you are creating opportunity yourselves, and that will breed opportunity in itself. Fantastic. Charlotte, that is all we've got time for. Thank you for being such a wonderful interviewee. It's so lovely to see you. And anyone who has any other questions for Charlotte, please do put them in the Q&A and we will send them to her afterwards. Don't hold back. No question is a stupid question. We'll be happy to answer anything.
Yeah.
And no one else can see your questions as well, guys. So you really can ask anything. Okay, thank you so much, Charlotte. That is all we've got time for. I will put you down to an attendee. I like it, saying nothing personal.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.